David Hughes is Vice President of the International Farm Management Association in Argentina. He holds a Master's of Science in Agricultural Economics from Texas A&M University and has been a regular at the Harvard Agribusiness Seminar. His career path includes working as farm manager and consultant in Argentina. He is currently partner and president of Troll & Co. SA, a business providing farm management and accounting services. He is also a partner in Ag Management Group, offering consultation to foreign investors interested in Argentina and Uruguay. David is very active in organized agriculture. He is founding member and president of Argentrigo, the Argentine Wheat Chain Association, member of the Association of Agricultural Production Executives, and member of Arcria, an Argentine farmers group involved in benchmarking and testing new technology. Congress, please welcome Mr. David Hughes.
There's things here that I do that some of you farmers are doing, so some of it might be new to some, but not so new to others. So this is a mate we share. It's a gourd with a tea, and we like sharing, and we drink together. So this is about sharing. So I'm going to share my story. So that's where I'm going. So this is Argentina. You can see Buenos Aires. There are two spots with a 2 on it. Those are the two farms I'm going to speak about. There, as you can see, Rosario, the Paraná River, up to the right, to the top. So this is where I come from. You can see Buenos Aires City. West of Buenos Aires City is one of the farms I manage, and you go further west, and that's the other one. So the farm Los Manuelitos, that's the farm I live on. That's one of the farms we manage. That's 150 kilometers in a straight line from Buenos Aires, and it's roughly 63 meters above sea level. The other farm is 340 kilometers further west, and it is slightly 100 and something meters above sea level. So that's how flat we are. So it's 120 meters. So, oops. Okay, this is, so it's mainly agriculture. And this is an entrance to the farm I live on. These pictures are all from the farm. So I'm going to speak about first the farm that's closest to Buenos Aires. Its annual rainfall, 1,000 millimeters. They're all pictures from there. So it's a very temperate weather. It rains 1,000 on average, but it's never average, it never happens, no? So deep soils, 63. These are pictures of my crops, and you can see the variability I have had. What the line is a yield, and the bars are the amount of hectares I plant. So it goes up and down, but you can see that the yield also goes up and down. This is a double crop soybean, just a short story. Last year, I planted 90 kilograms of seed. I harvested 79. I didn't even get my seed back, but it happens. It's all no-till. You will notice that the lady agronomist that consults with us, she's walking within soybean, and you can see the straw stalks of there. Corn, on this farm, it's mainly early planted corn. I'll tell you about it later. There you can see as well the variability I have. That's weather. We know about it. That's weather risk. You know about it more than I do, I'm sure. You've got tough weather here as well. So this is full season soybeans. So basically what we do on that farm, it's a third of the farm is in maize, a third of the farm is in soybean, a third of the farm is in double cropping wheat, soybean. This was a rainfall. The top line, the blue one, is our average, which doesn't occur very often, hardly ever, 1996 to 2020. And you can see the red line was the previous year's crop. We got a hit, and that's why I only harvested 79 kilograms of soybean for the double crop. And this year it's improving. We're not there yet, but it's much better. It's rained better as well. We count millimeters of rainfall, but it's also how and when it falls helps as well. So as you see, weather risk is what happens. The other farm is further west, I was telling you about. It's also 100% in no-till. You can see the soybean coming up through the wheat stubble, and you can see the corn. So flat, again, I've noticed you're not used to seeing flat countryside. This is flat. What do we have? Farmers are the most, I think, innovative people in the world. And it's amazing. And I see it all over the place where I travel. So some farmer in Argentina started finding out if he could plant corn, maize in a different window. So we've always planted maize in spring. September for us, that's when you plant spring. This guy came up with an idea and said, what happens if I plant in December? No idea. But it happens that December maize has over years the same average, but we don't have the ups and downs. So on the chart you can see on the bottom is late planted corn or maize, and the top chart is early planted. So the early planted, you can see the variability I had until roughly 2015-16, where we started separating what field goes into early planting and what field goes to late planting. Basically moisture in soil and water table. We look at that. We don't have enough moisture, we don't plant early, we plant late. So this is just to give you an idea. That's my wife again, same thing. You've got the early planted and late planted. Basically, we want to minimize risk by the lower yield getting it up. So we want higher yields, but we don't want lower yields. This is full season soybean on this farm out west. It's sandy soils, 60, 70, 80% sand. And so this is the challenges we face. I say we because I guess you as well, but the farmers back home. So climate, technology management, so we try to have flexibility and crop mix. So we have a third of the farm in each of the crops, maize, soybean, and wheat, soybean, but it changes. And we've got to work the chemicals and prepare ourselves to make last-minute changes basically to climate. So in the crop rotation, we have to be very efficient with fertilizer and chemical use. I'll tell you why now. But anyway, it's good to be a low-cost producer. Climate risk management, we measure soil moisture. If I've got less than 60% moisture in the soil, up to 2 meters deep, I won't plant. Water table depth, if it's further down than 3 meters, I don't count it. If it's higher, even though the soil is dry, I might plant as well. Planting dates, I told you about the maize. We've got 2 planting dates. Row width, we work a lot with row width. We used to plant maize at 70 centimeters. Now we plant at 52 centimeters, 5'2". Soybean, full season soybean, we started planting at 70 centimeters. We went down to 52. Today we're at 35. Double crop soybean, we planted 17 centimeters row width. Soybean groups, I've been speaking to farmers, so this is new for some of you, but not new for others. We had big issues with Sclerotinia. So what do? We change group. We used to plant late 5s, early 6s group. We changed to 4s, 4, 6, 4, 7, 4, 8, and Sclerotinia disappeared. Since we've done that, we haven't had a hit on yield, and I don't know what Sclerotinia is today. No-till, the farm's been 100%, both farms have been 100% no-till. Argentina is 70, 80% of the crops are no-till. We've been doing no-till since late 1990s. Basically, we started because there was less cost of fuel and labor and horsepower. Then we learned that it had other benefits. It improves soil health, it diminishes soil erosion, it keeps moisture in the ground, and now we're looking at cover crops as well. Thinking as well is I have to be a low cost. So most of my energy goes into management innovation, not so much paying out for toys and chemicals and that, but how can I improve and bring down the cost just by management issues? So basically, we're looking at that. We work with contractors. We plant over 3,000 hectares. We don't own any machinery. We have different contractors on each field. With no-till, I have a contractor for planting, spraying, harvest, and trucking. So we do that. Seed technology, genetics and GMO. Thanks to GMO and genetics is that we can do no-till. We started doing no-till when the first Roundup Ready soybean came in. Today we have a big issue. This is a bad note. We have a big issue. Last year, the last research in soybean genetics left the country. And the business that left the country is an Argentine business because we don't pay royalties. So I don't know in 3, 4, 5 years' time, I don't know what I'm going to be planting. That's a bad thing. I am very worried about it. Other farmers are not. But if I'm thinking in the medium and long term, this is a big, big red flag in my head. Peer groups, I know there's lots of things I can't do on my own, most of them. So I like working with peer groups. I am part of 2 peer groups. One is a no-till association. That's basically how can I improve no-till, again, management, thinking through, cover crops, row width, whatever we can. The other peer group, ACREA, that's benchmarking. So we get together once a month. We're 12 in the group. There are 9 groups in my region. There are 200 groups in the country. We benchmark, and those issues which are common to our group and to our region, we put money in a pocket and we decide what our trials, farm trials are. We work with research people, universities, and we decide what's the issue we want to measure. We pay for it. If the import companies want to come with us, that's fine, but we decide, we plan what we want, and we make sure that they're validated farm tests. So we pay an agronomist, a consultant, to go after it. We feel that's important because that way, any new innovation, in 2, 3 years, we're all using it. Because every group is trying it, every group is validating it, and so you're getting a lot of information coming in, data, and that allows us to bring into the business innovations in 2, 3 years' time, very fast. Argentina was always planting 100% of the corn in spring. When this farmer started saying, hey guys, look, you can bring down your risk, your variability if you plant late. Today, Argentina, 60% of the maize in Argentina is planted late. So that's in 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Why that? And it's been like that for the last 3 or 4 years. Because suddenly peer groups, you start comparing, sharing, and that's great. So I consider that's extremely important, being in institutions which are strong and can share and can work on important issues. On my own, I can't do much. So this is just to show you that the gray at the top of the bars is acreage I'm bringing in crops, in cover crops. So the cover crop, it's not a crop I harvest, but I think, and I'm measuring, and it's helping me on the next crops. So it's helping me as a business to improve my soil and my crop, cover crops. We apply it when the crop is standing. So we would seed with ryegrass, for example, the corn, when it's standing, we throw it over. We tried with airplane, it doesn't work. So we have this big machine, very tall, and it throws seed over it. So there you can see it in the next one, how it starts growing within the plant. So when I harvest, I've already got the cover crop there. Basically what we're looking at, we want something, a living plant growing the most time on my fields, because we consider that improves our soil health. If we have good soil health, we'll have good crops. So that's what we're looking at. We're not there, we're finding out. The other cover crop we're using is vetch, which is the other picture there. It's a legume, and that's very interesting because it helps us with the nutrients in the following crop. So those are some of the stuff we're looking. There you can see ryegrass and maize as a cover crop. We're harvesting, and you can see it coming up. It's already growing inside the maize. So we no-till since the 1990s. We're part of different peer groups, ACREA, PRESID, but also I like looking for information and learning from farmers in other parts of the world. I've been learning from you. I was visiting some farmers over the weekend. I always take back something. I always learn something. So I'm part of a farmers group in the States. It's called APEX. That's Agricultural Production Executives. That's what they name themselves. And then out of the UK is the International Farm Managers Association, which has a meeting every 2 years in a different country in the world. This year in July, it'll be in Canada, in Saskatoon. And there I learn from other farmers. Basically, that's what I look for. So farmers are problem solvers. So I perceive myself as someone who applies knowledge to problem solving. So I perceive knowledge as tools. So the more knowledge I have, the more tools I have in my toolbox. So that's why I like traveling, that's why I like listening to farmers, because I always learn and I always take back something. These are some of the things we do with the peer groups. This is a very easy to read chart. Basically, I can choose between 80% of probability of occurrence or 50%, depends how risk averse I am that year. At the bottom is the amount of kilograms of nitrogen I offer the wheat. And on the other side is the yield I could expect. So the bottom line is if it's very dry, if the soil is very dry. If the soil is very dry, I can apply a lot of nitrogen, but I won't get the yield back, and I'll probably lose money when I plug economic numbers into that. The middle one is moderate humidity, and the top one is very good humidity in the soil. So this helps me to see where do I stand in different years on my farm, and then I plug in economic numbers, and that tells me how much nitrogen to offer the crop. So from that nitrogen, we work between 160 and 180 kilograms. We subtract the nitrogen that's in the organic matter. We subtract the nitrogen that goes in with MAP or DAP, depends which one I use, and the difference is what I apply as nitrogen fertilizer. So that's just one example of what we created. This simple graph was after 5-6 years of field trials with the university, with the research team, to get an easy-to-use graph. We also do hybrid field tests. On the bottom of the chart is the average of the trial on somebody's farm. So if the average is high, we understand that hybrid was in a high yielding environment. If the average yield is low, that hybrid was in a low yielding environment. So then we check the hybrids. How do they do in high, medium, and low yielding environments? And that's how we choose. So we like going to buy the seed with our own list, so we know what we buy. We don't like being told what we need to buy. This is another one, short one, soybean planting dates. 2nd of October is the second 10 days of October. From then on, yield goes down, 26 kilograms per hectare, and it depends if a Niño or a Niña year, how far and how fast it goes down. So this is part of all the information we're getting from these peer groups. We do validated farm trials. So we utilize, it's an Argentine software on the sprayers. It's not my sprayer, but I paid to have it on the sprayer, on the contractor, because I want this. So this is a map of the application of chemicals. So it tells me at the top, you can read the hectares, the speed it was going at, the temperature, the humidity, the liters per minute it's throwing, the liters per hectare, the pressure, I can't remember what reference is, and the speed, wind speed. So this is basically, I'm using it to bring down my liability risk with my neighbors and with the community. There's a lot of things going on, and we thought we were rational decision makers, we're emotional decision makers. And the urban community thinks we're poisoning the world. So I've got to find a way to bring down my liability risk. When I use chemicals, my agronomist has to write out a prescription for the government, and he sends it to the government. And then this is a map I use to know where I'm standing and that it was applied properly. So I'm looking at this not only to know if I'm spending the money correctly, because it's a lot of money that goes in chemicals, sorry guys, but it does, but I want to bring down my liability with the community. This is another software I use. This is a geographical information system. I like using independent software. I don't go and ask my fertilizer company how much fertilizer I have to apply. I don't do that. I don't like doing that. I like deciding. So I try to use independent software. that's not offered by any input company. Sorry, Bayer, but that's what I do. So basically, it's a business that offers satellite images, and it has tools inside it where I can choose if I want to divide the field in 1, 2, 3, 6, or 7 different environments for different prescriptions, planting rates, crops, whatever. I can play around a lot. But basically, as a businessman in farming, all the information on rand, kilograms, and hectares, it all goes into your accounting, managerial accounting packet. All the rest, I had it spread all over everybody's computers, printed all over the place. So I decided to have one place where I can have everything. Anybody can access this, anybody I give the access to, so my farm managers, my consultants, everybody has access to this. And what made me go for this is a friend of mine in the States, a farmer, he was farming with his brother, and one of them was in charge of the production, the other was in charge of all the financials. One of the brothers had a car accident and died overnight. Terrible. But the brother said, I don't know who he was speaking to, I don't know what he was doing, I lost all the information. Because he had it. He had it. It wasn't in a place that you could access from overseas. So then I thought, what happens if something happens to me or to the consultant or somebody leaves the business? So I had one of my farm managers, unfortunately, he died in COVID. I only got back half of the information he had because I knew he had a lot of information. I got hold of his pen drives, of his computers, only half the information was there. I don't know what the rest of the information was. So it's so hard for us to gather information. So what I look at this as a place I keep all the information which is not rand, hectares, or kilograms. So, and here you can put pictures and all that. There are others. This is one I use. What I'm saying is, think of it as a place where you keep the business's information, that something happens to you or not, but the person coming behind you or you change consultant, you have the knowledge, the information inside your business. Otherwise, they go away and you lose it. So we're also measuring the type of chemicals used in crop protection. This is very new. We only started this last year. So basically, you've got rated by red, yellow, blue, and green. Even though it's costing us, we don't want to use any red. We're trying to bring down the yellows where we can. So this is for different crops, the type of chemicals we use. Okay, now my farm business challenges. Whew. Grain storage. We mainly have silo bags. One, better bargaining. It's a variable cost storage. And in my country, we don't like our currency, our peso. We don't like it. In my lifetime, 65 years, the government has knocked off 13 zeros off my currency because we've been changing currency because of inflation. So we don't like the peso. We use contractors. That's less capital tied up in machinery. It's a variable cost. In an economy that doesn't work, because it doesn't work ours, we want the largest amount of variable costs and the least amount of fixed costs. Financing, our financial institutions don't exist, so mortgage loans are non-existent. Machine loans, maximum 3 years, and then you've got to fight around the interest rate. Operating capital, interest rate came down yesterday. The government said they're going to bring it down from 100% to 80%. So the banks are starting to offer less than 80% per annum. And we use our own capital. So the financing, we've got to have a lot of innovation there. The open mind, I need an open mind. I look for it. Argentina's at the end of the world. If you travel there, the plane turns around and comes back. So, I mean, we're at the end of the world. Nobody goes there. Very few people go there. So if I don't get out and leave, I'm not going to know what's happening. So I like traveling. I like IFMA. I like APEX, short courses. Global Farmers Network is another big help. I get a lot of information out of there. And then the big challenges. Bayer was saying how much they spent in R&D. I don't spend in R&D. I can't afford to. I'm a farmer. So what do? I get together with other farmers. That's what you do. When you can't do it on your own, you get together with other farmers. So there's a group of farmers that we got together, and it's an investment group. So we invest, small tickets. So we pay somebody to go and look for new innovations in farming, bring him in, give a talk, and if we like him, we put a bit of money in there, but we also start a relationship and help him create that innovation that will also help me. So I'm not picking up something out of the shelf, but I'm in the process trying to help him. And we've also had individual investments in biotech, in Bioceres, HP4, and in Outavant. So I like the platforms, I invested there. So that's how I'm looking at from the business. How do I go forward? AgTech, so there we are. That's planting soybean and wheat stubble. See? Small tractor, you don't need a big tractor. So as I said, AgTech, we do. And the other is Nesters. This group of farmers, they tied up with an investment fund. It's called Yield Lab LATAM. It's Latin American Food and Ag Tech. So they do all the studying, and they bring to us, okay, do you want to invest here? And so we have a ticket where we're paying it up. We'll pay it in 5 installments in 5 years. So we're looking at that. There in that picture, what you're seeing is how we bag. Really, that's the only machinery we own. That tractor and that bagging system. All the rest is a contractor. So AgTech, we do it with other farmers. That's the way you do it, with somebody else. Okay, this is the easy part. Today, that's today, I've got export tax in my country. Soybeans, 31%. Maize, 12%. Wheat, 12%. Beef, 9%, blah, blah, blah. What does this mean? The exporter, when he wants to export, he's got to know the government. He's going to export 1,000 tons of soybean. So the government says, fine, I'll give you the permission, deposit 31% of your FOB price in the bank. So the exporter turns around, he subtracts that from the FOB price, he subtracts his other costs he has, and he offers me at harbor, I think it was 5,000, Tobias, I think it was 5,800 or 5,900 rands per ton soybean. And I've got to make money with that so that I can come here and speak to you guys. Maize 12%, wheat 12%. Inflation is coming down. I'm happy to announce that. December was 25% per month. January came down to 20%, so we're better off. February 13% that's per month. So in 2023, my inflation rate was 211%. But the dollar was devalued 160%. And my grain is quoted in US dollars. So I didn't do too good there. Exchange rates, that's pesos per USD dollars. The official one is 836 to 894, but if I want to buy a dollar, I have to go to the bond market, and that's 1,036 per dollar. Now, in the black market, it's 990, and this is published all over the place. Now, if I'm a tourist and with my credit card, I come here and I buy something here, the dollar I'm paying is 1,388 pesos. But then I have another exchange rate for grain exports. So if I sell on the spot market, I get the 890 and 33. If I sell through the futures market, I get 836 pesos per dollar. So you've got to be reading the newspaper every day, calling other farmers, knowing what's going on. Again, peer groups. I mean, it's the best thing that can happen. Financial analysis, well, you know about that. You've got to be always with a calculator next to you. Financing. So we have banks, input providers. Thank you, Bayer. We use them a lot. And thanks to them, Argentina can do what it does. If necessary, what I have done other times, in 2008, we had a sort of discussion with the government. We didn't agree on a few things. And we blocked the roads for over 100 days. Well, I'll tell you about it a bit later, but that year we had a drought. I lost 20% of my working capital. So this is risk management. So I didn't want anything from the bank, because if I had another bad year, I owed the bank. So I said, okay, bank, give me some money. They said, okay, we can lend you so much. I went to the input providers, Bayer, and can I name the others as well? Well, BASF, Syngenta, and all that. And I said, can you give me the inputs, and I pay you at harvest? And then I put a bit of my money, not much because I didn't have much left. But what I did do on 3 fields, and this is quite common in Argentina, you get somebody from the town, an elevator, a lawyer, a doctor, well, lawyers no, a doctor, a dentist. and what you do is you go to risk management. So you say, okay, in these fields, we're going to do maize. And this was an elevator guy who sold inputs. So he's a distributor. So I said, okay, I'm going to sow maize. You give me, and we're going to do the total cost. And inside the total cost, I'm going to put the cost of lease of the land, lease land, administration costs. So we worked that out between the fund. He said, okay, he puts in 30% of the costs, he gets 30% of the harvest. So we did that. And I had an excellent year. So he was happy, I was happy. I could have got the money from the bank, but I don't like to have too much credit with the bank, because if I can't pay it, then you're on the wrong list, and then everybody looks at you in a bad way, and nobody wants to help you. So I try not to have 100% of my money, financing money, from the bank. I like the banks. I don't trust them. I sort of like them. I don't like them, no. I like them when they lend me money. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, well, whatever. We don't like banks. So in this environment, what do I save in? Grain storage, because I produce my own money. My money is maize, soybean, and wheat, or hard currency. So that's why we look at how can I get hold of it. Everybody does this. It's not just me. I'm not clever or anything. I learned from other farmers. They estimate there's 1 GDP of Argentina outside of the financial system in Argentina. So I'm not the only one who doesn't like banks in Argentina. And then I work. As I produce my own money, I work at relative values. I look at the value in dollars. We don't look at the value. All my inputs are quoted and invoiced in dollars. My grain is quoted in dollars, but it's invoiced in pesos. So I'd say about 40–50% of my direct costs, or more a bit, yeah, probably 60% of my direct costs are quoted in dollars, US dollars, and my income in grain. So we use the US dollar quite a bit. So this is there's a university, Austral, Agribusiness University in Rosario, and they did a survey of over 800 farmers, 2-hour survey, each farmer. And this is what they got. So I'm not the only one whose finance is that way. Input providers, around a third of your own capital. State banks and private banks, and this is different there, because a state bank, you can fight more. A private bank, he says, guys, give me the money, or give me something. So that's it. And co-ops, very, very little. So this is roughly, on average, what farmers do. So we learned about grain storage. There's a picture of storing. That's what the bag looks. I'm not going to say the name. They told me you call it here, but it's a big white bag. We also learned, so we consider we produce our own currency. So I bag it and I keep it at home. I don't give it to anybody. I don't like it. So this is, for example, one example I picked up. This is 2 years, the average. This is the amount of corn I need to sell to buy 1 ton of DAP. The average is 2.22. When it's above the average, I like it. I probably forward purchase. When it's below, I don't like it, and I wait. Same with soybean and MAP. Average is 0.4. It goes ups and down. And this is a chart that again, a farmer and a consultant created. Farmers are innovators. Trust you. Trust yourselves. You're really great innovators. I access in the web, and it picks up the source is just market numbers, and this is day to day. I took it out about a week ago. So in the top it says soja hoy, soybean today. That was a price against MAP. PMA is MAP. So the historical relationship of 5 years, I chose 5 years. I can choose 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. The historical reference is 2.3. Today it was a 2.6. It's in red because why? It's not good. And it's 11% below what the historical relationship is. And I have for soybean, maize, wheat, sunflower, milk, and steer. That's live. The price for 1 kilogram of live weight steer in dollars. And there I have MAP, urea, glyphosate, diesel, square meter of construction, and Standard & Poor's. So just you look at quickly, you have greens, you have reds. Reds, take your time. Greens, start looking into it. If you need it, think about it, make your calculations. So we're not only looking at our inputs in dollar terms, but we're also looking at it in relative terms, relative to what I produce. So if you don't produce maize, you don't look at maize. This is what you have, what you produce, what you at the end of the harvest have in your hands. So we had this inconvenience with the government, 2008. Basically, the government wanted to increase export taxes to where any increase in the price, 95% went to the government and 5% went to the farmer. We didn't think it was too fair, so we went out and blocked. But what happened is that, and I realized, and a few other farmers realized that, we can work our butt off, harvest, everything, long days, short nights. You do everything well. You go, you work with Bayer. How can I improve my output? Oh, this is a way. You go here, you work, you buy the latest machinery, you do everything you want. 20 guys in Congress lift up their hand thinking they're helping you. And for the next 10 years, they threw you, in Spanish we say, they threw you salvavidas de plomo. It's a steel, well, when I remember, it's so instead of helping you, they give you an anchor so you go down. That's what politicians do, but not because they're bad. They don't know. You don't have to know about everything. So politicians get there, they have no idea about farming, no idea. So they call, a cousin or a friend they met at the bar who said he farmed and ask him what he does. He doesn't ask farmers. So we realized that we need to be there. So we got together a group of 20, 30 farmers. Again, what you do, you get together with other farmers. And we put up an institution, a foundation. We've been working since 2009 in Congress, in our National Congress, and basically we want the guys in Congress to make a better informed decision. So what we've done is not tell them what they have to do, but give them the basic information so that they can make a better informed decision. We also work and lobby so they don't vote certain laws, and we do that as well. But basically we want, it's not education, but that's saying that you're stupid, but it's basically, you don't have to know about anything. There's lots of things that I don't know, too many. But if somebody can bring good sound numbers and information, I'll probably make a better decision. So we've been working very hard there. We have coffee with a congressman. We've had, last year we had over 50 coffees, one-on-one. We also have group meetings. And today what we're working on, as well as that, is a Brazilian model, which is basically the Brazilian ag institutions, because we look at this as agribusiness, not as farmers. I'm part of a huge value chain. I'm valuable, so is everybody else in the value chain. So this is about agribusiness. And in Brazil, agribusiness went to Congress and they started speaking to different congressmen. Most of them are not farmers. 99% are not farmers. Most of them are not even from rural areas. But what they started working is letting the congressman understand that if agribusiness grew in their county, in their province, in their state, the people in that state would have better services, better jobs, better income, everything would be better. So they convinced. Today, over 60% of the congressmen in Brazil work as an ag group across all the different political parties. So this is about politics, but not party politics. And what they do is, no law goes through Congress if they don't have a look at it. We in Argentina, we're working on the same model. We started 2 years ago. This year we think we've got 14 different congressmen from 6 different party blocks. So that was good. And we're thinking of going to Brazil. What happened in December 10th? We have a new president who created his own party 4 years ago. So he really hasn't got a party together. He has to work with the different parties and different blocs in Congress. And that's good. That's very good. Before we've had an executive and he had a majority in Congress, everybody lifts up their hand, nobody reads anything, and that's how we ended up with that inflation numbers and all that. So with that, I was visiting some farmers over the weekend, so thank you very much. Danke.
David, if you'll just spend another minute or so with us, I'd like to open the floor to Congress. Are there any questions to ask David? It's actually fascinating. I want to share with you why I actually asked David to come and speak to us today. We have, in my opinion, we have 3 E's to deal with this year, 2024. We've got to deal with El Nino, we've got to deal with the economy, and we've got to deal with elections. So what's important for us to take away from here today and tomorrow is how do we, despite all this noise that goes on around us, how do we focus on our business? And David, it's absolutely fascinating to sit and listen to you, how you focus on your business, how you've taken to us a seemingly totally impossible economic situation of runaway inflation, of no value in your currency, and you've turned your produce into the currency that you used. You've found ways of creating your own economy in parallel to that. You've found ways of influencing your environment. Jaco Mina, you will remember that when we sit in Agri-SA's board, we ask ourselves regularly, what is our ability to influence? If we have no ability to influence, we've got no business being there. So I'd like to open the floor to anybody who'd like to ask David any questions at this point. There's microphone 3.
Good morning. My name is Chris Koenwinkel. I'm from a region not far from here. I would like to ask David, your president, the new president that you have now, has pulled out of the BRICS
Group.
The grouping of BRICS. I can understand from your presentation this morning why that has happened, but if you could explain to us, why did you see, or why did your president see that BRICS isn't the way to go for Argentina?
Oh, okay. I'll give you a slight idea. I'm not that much in politics, but basically our new president is turning the country around 180 degrees. So you try to turn your bucky around 180 degrees when you're coming at 120 kilometers per hour. I mean, all the passengers, they start moving around. So that's what's happening. He's a libertarian. Our president is a libertarian, a no-nonsense libertarian. And basically, it's not politically correct, but he thought it's nonsense, the BRIC, today for us. We've got way more important things to do, and we want to be part of the world that does good. That's, the nice world with its money and their development, and they're growing, and they're being better every day. So we'll probably be back in the BRICS later on, but from another point, from a different standing. But today, I understand it's that.
Thanks, David. The microphone.
Hi, yes. My name is Foster Zeilacher from Sector 17. My question is a little bit more product oriented. My ear caught you. You said you took out Sclerotinia out of soybeans. How did you do that again? Because it's a major factor in the Eastern Free State, Sclerotinia in the soybeans.
Okay, Sclerotinia. We were planting groups 5, late 5s, early 6s, mainly 5.7, 5.8. And most of our autumn or fall, or I don't know how you call it in English, they start cooling nights, lots of moisture, the crops look good, so it was covered. You looked at a beautiful field, and then it go bad. And again, some farmers started saying, okay, what happens if we change the group? So changing the group meant that the cycle of the plant would end a week or 10 days before, not much more. We changed that, and just that week was enough for Sclerotinia to disappear. We had real peace. Sclerotinia is in the soil. So you did soybean, and 3 years later you'd come back and you'd have this problem again if it was a good year. That way, we haven't had a Sclerotinia for 20 odd years. It used to be really bad. When we went to group 4s, 4.6, 4.7, 4.4, 4.8, that was a very good, there was a very good soybean of 4.8 by GDM. And we had no yield change, absolutely. And we're allowed. I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but I was speaking to a farmer, and he's doing that here. So, and it's happening to what happened to me back home. No drop in yields, much better, and he forgotten about Sclerotinia. But this is a type of technology we're looking for, managerial technology, which is not money. It's brains and trying, and that's why it's so important to have groups of farmers like you in a strong institution. You know, I envy your institution, but it's important because you can share your knowledge and you can take away a lot. If you're in the soybean group tomorrow, the person will be there, and I'll remind him, and I'll ask him to share his experience.
Anyone else? David, thank you very much. Certainly given us food for thought, gentlemen. When we go into our elections and the storm is raging around us, let us remember to focus on our businesses and keep doing what we're doing. And David, we look forward to your participation in the panel later on during the day.